But I'm gonna take this into a different realm, and I'm gonna put this on you because I'm part of the cynical kind of younger generation, and you're part of the like Democrats know what they're doing. Just give them space, let them do it. I just want hearings, even if there's nothing wrong here. I just want lots of hearings, and let me tell you why. Even if nothing comes from them, because what they did to Hillary. And here's why that's important. Even though nothing came from Hillary, I don't think their intention was to put Hillary behind bars. If they were going to find something, they were going to find something. They never did, though. They kept on it because they knew Hillary was a front runner for 2016. And so when you're able to sow doubt into people's minds that early, when you just see Hillary testifying over and over and over, look, I come from a neighborhood where if we just saw you around cops, then we might have thought something. So if you're just continuing to be around cops, we're just going to have an idea about you, right? So that's the idea with Hillary is this idea that if they just kept her on TV, kept her in trouble, even though she wasn't actually in trouble, then they'll sow doubt in people's minds. There was a lot of people in 2016 who didn't vote for Hillary because they didn't trust her, and they had no idea why. They had no idea about Benghazi. Look, I'm into politics. I still kind of half know what happened in Benghazi. So if we could just bring Barr back, bring Trump, bring whoever was involved back and put them on TV, even if nothing comes from it, that's what I want to see.
Well, both Schumer and Durbin have called for hearings, and they're gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna go ahead and they're going to um, subpoena. They've threatened both Sessions and Barr with a subpoena. So I don't think you're going to have a problem in the call for hearings. I think where we might run into problems is will they play hardball if those guys don't participate, if they don't
Right.
agree right out of the box to that's what we need to see as the hardball. And I'd also be very interested to see if the House does hearings as well. And somebody said, what's really important though is even if Barr and Sessions kind of mess around and try to get out of it, the reality is that there's many career people in the DOJ that are still there, and they could probably be compelled to tell. Because here's the question: I want to drag Barr, I want to drag Sessions, but would you rather Barr and Sessions get up and be evasive, or would you rather have some career person hauled in front of them who basically says, "Oh yeah, this is what we did, and this is why we did it"? That might be easier. It might not be the big name that we want, but the information that we get might be more damaging than anything that Barr or Sessions would tell us.
Yeah, but again, my whole thing is I don't even care about the information. Look, we had a whole impeachment trial that nobody really, the Republicans didn't partake in, right? So it was just about can we keep them on TV and keep them looking in a place that's vulnerable? That's what I kind of want right now. What I was going to put on you is this question of there's a lot of people who are like, nothing's going to come from this. We're still trying to pass infrastructure. We never got the January 6th commission. Now Pelosi's going to try to do something on her own. Like, do we have time for all this stuff? And my question to you becomes how is the next generation of people not supposed to be cynical when it's like we showed up, we got you guys the majority. It's not a real majority, right? Because Mansion and Cinema, blah blah blah, right? It's not a real majority, but we got you the best we could. But we're still not. You're still saying, "Oh, we just can't do everything," and it's like, I get that you can't do everything. Then what are we? What's the solution here? Like, does the system broken? Do we like? Where's this? Are we supposed to get in politics if we can't go and do something? Like Pelosi, Schumer, Biden, Kamala, they're all very, very smart people. It's not like these people are inadequate or inept. You know what I mean? So the cynicism from our generation becomes we did everything we could as people. We put the right people there, and it's like we're still fighting tooth and nail for barely wins. What's the solution here? What are we supposed to do?
Well, you bring up a good subject, and you bring up a good point, and it kind of segues into the next subject. And I want to talk a little bit about Garland and some of the things he's doing at the
Yeah,
DOJ, especially relates to the that one defamation suit. Um, there's a lot of older folks who are saying, he's going too far, but I think what Garland's trying to do is trying to get back to how things are supposed to be, And what's really tough is, and it goes back to what I've told you before, that's the problem between Republican and Democrats. Republicans are saying, will say, damn the rules, and we're just going to do things a certain way. Democrats are going to say, no, we need to go ahead and protect the institution. We need to protect the rules. And I bring that all up to say that one of the challenges that I think we have, and it's something that I think younger people who are cynical, I kind of can excuse their cynicism, but I can also be offended that they're not necessarily learning how things are supposed to be. And what I mean by that is, um, I definitely am hearing from a lot of wise former DOJ lawyer types that I see on TV that Garland is going too far, but they still talk about how what he's trying to do, though, is he's not arguing on behalf of Trump. He's protecting the presidency, and it's important that the presidency, regardless of who the president is, be protected, right? So, I say that all to say, I see that people want stuff to happen, but they have to still realize that there's rules. Like, do you know one of the main reasons why when a police officer does something bad, they don't get immediately fired? Does anyone know? Is it that the mayor or the superintendent is backing that behavior, or is it that there are contractual rules and statutory rules that oftentimes prohibit an immediate firing? Right? So you can sit there and you can protest outside of a mayor's house or a superintendent's house and be pissed that this person's not fired, but the reality is that there's usually a labor contract and some type of laws that prohibit the immediate expulsion of someone, right? So I understand that people get frustrated, and I definitely do think that sometimes the Democrats, within their discretion, not the rules, within their discretion, play a little bit too nice or a little bit too fair. I will cede you that. But at the end of the day, the reality is just because we want something to happen a certain way doesn't mean that that's the best way for it to happen. Does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. My counter argument would be that uh, there's people who I think it's a two-step problem. The first problem is going back to the Garland and the defamation suit thing. I saw what happened. I clicked the article. I read. He's not arguing for Trump. He's arguing for the next 20 years of whoever the president is in theory. He's arguing the fact that this is legally allowed to happen on some level, right? But the problem is the headline says Garland defends Trump in court. So part of the problem here is the media and how we write headlines, how things go viral, and the algorithms on social media. Majority of people, that's a Washington Post article that says Trump is defended by Biden's DOJ. Most people don't have a Washington Post subscription, so they're going to see the title, they're going to keep scrolling on their timeline, and that's all they're going to feel. So I give you that. There's a lot of people who aren't understanding the nuance here. But there's the other half of us who are saying if Democrats are just trying to make it how the rules are, then like we're kind of done with the rules, and we don't want anarchy and we don't want this. But it's like, look, we gave you the majority, and we're still being ineffective. So let's get rid of the filibuster. Let's get rid of the Electoral College that kind of didn't do their job in 2016. Like, we want to change the rules to progress this country. We cannot. It feels like the rules are set up to one guy to do one thing and the next guy to take back everything, and then the next guy to do the 4 years of this, and the next guy to take back the 4 years. If the checks and balances work, but they work to a default because now we're struggling as a country and we're not able to make change to progress. So I see what you're saying. Like, part of it is the problem of like Garland isn't defending Trump in court, even though kind of people kind of feel that way. Part of that is the media and the algorithms and stuff like that. So that is a problem. But the other half of the problem is, why is Joe Manchin affecting the voters of Georgia? And so, can we change that? How can we change that? There was a big push this week. It's not on the prep, but it's a big push this week to get rid of the Senate, like just to get rid of the whole thing in general. You know what I mean? So that's what this next generation cares about. They're not dumb. They do want change, and they do want drastic change, and that's not going to happen. I always look to what Barack said. Sorry, I'm going on a rant here, but Barack used to say, "Democracy is a process. It's just you got to keep at it. It's like exercise. You have to just literally go out and run every single day. But look, we are running every single day. It just feels like we're not getting anywhere. So that's where I feel like a lot of frustration comes from.